Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and I'm here today explaining the difference between this 20-point test on the essay or the article Hidden Intellectualism and this 200-point essay on the same article, Hidden Intellectualism. So how come this one's worth 10 times more points? And by the way, the quick answer is I'm expecting about 10 times more work. Here with the test, as you know, I ask you a quick question. In this case, it was about graphs naysayers. I've already pre-focused the essay for you. I'm expecting to spend about an hour writing your answer. And when I open your answer, I'm probably going to find something like this. Here was my question. Here's your answer. A complete answer in the first paragraph, everything that you have to say, followed by some supporting evidence in the following paragraphs, and we're done. So there's no what I would call fancy frosting or wrapping on the package. I just get the answer, I get the supporting evidence, and I'm happy, and you get your 20 points. However, and it's a big however, when I'm asking for essay 1, I'm looking for far more. And one way to understand this is to look at the prompt itself. First of all, in this case, I'm asking you to agree, disagree, or both, not just pointing out graphs naysayers, but with his whole essay, Hidden Intellectualism. So I feel that the scope is larger. I'm asking you to provide more focused evidence, either based on your own personal experience for option 1, or on outside experiences with fictional or non-fictional examples. I'm looking for more writing, 1,500 words. That's about 5 double-spaced pages. That's much longer than I'm typically expecting for a test. And I'm also expecting these things. I'm expecting an MLA heading, page numbers, title and subtitle, and a brief but brilliant intro. All these things are things that I'm automatically expecting that I would not expect in the 20-point test over here, but do expect for the essay. So let me show you a couple examples of what this would mean. If you go to the Files box in Canvas, you'll find a subfile called Page 1 Templates, and there's one for academic essays, and this is what it looks like. And with these little blue boxes, I'll scroll through them very fast. It shows you, okay, here's where your MLA heading goes, and here's where your page number goes. Here's the centered title and subtitle. By the way, not all professors require subtitles, but academic essays use them so frequently, and I find them so powerful that I do require you to do that. Here's where I'm expecting to find your brief, emphasis on brief but brilliant intro, and you have other mini lectures about that. And then here, most important of all, is where I'm looking for not just a thesis statement, but a whole expanded thesis paragraph, which includes what you have to say about the author and your own perspective, the naysayers and the responses, and how they all fit together. So this template shows you in picture format what I'm looking for when I open your paper. But now let me quickly jump over here to an anonymized but real example of an actual student essay. And here's the page number, and here is the actual MLA heading. Again, I've changed the student's name to just student name. I don't care if it says Dr. Scott or Professor Scott. I do care that you spell my name correctly. And here's the student's really interesting title and subtitle, 17 down and 31 across, using both schools and street smarts to solve crossword puzzles. And notice how much more powerful that is than just saying hidden intellectualism. Hey, that's Graph's title, or my hidden intellectualism, which doesn't really tell me what your example is about. So this both captures my attention and tells me exactly what the paper's about, and I'm already smiling and thinking to give the paper an A. It's also centered correctly and punctuated correctly with capital letters, correctly placed in MLA format for both the title and the subtitle. Here's the student's brief but brilliant intro, which I would not expect or want to see in a test, but I'm demanding basically to see in this longer paper. Like many people, one of my favorite activities on a lazy Sunday morning is to complete crossword puzzles. While my puzzling is different from my parents and grandparents, I use an application on my phone, whereas they prefer the old school pencil and paper method. We all enjoy the word-based brain teasers that the New York Times publishes. And so in this quick paragraph here, I get that brief but brilliant intro that we've had another mini lecture on, so I'm not going to belabor the point. I would like to say that there's lots of other ways to start. You can start with a quote, you can start with a pun, you can start with something humorous, you can start with an imaginary situation that draws the reader in. And then most important of all, the student has provided me a whole paragraph here that fits right on the front page, a whole paragraph, not just one sentence, that tells me after reading Gerald Draft's essay, Hidden Intellectualism, I found myself in agreement with his conclusion. And again, this isn't a lecture about please agree, please disagree, or please both. I don't care. What I do care is that you tell me why. I too consider myself a hidden intellectual because I believe that knowledge from school smarts can be taught using street smarts. I want to know what your example is, right? So the student says, it was through this connection with crossword puzzles that I found my love of school, right? And how it all fits together by finding a balance between street smarts and school smarts. I've been able to cultivate my intellectual mind, but it was only through my street smarts that I was able to find a love for school smarts and intellectual thought in the first place. And by the way, this is also a little bit of a rewrite here for the student because their initial thesis paragraph was a little bit closer to a thesis sentence. And welcome to college. You can expand this into what I would call a thesis paragraph, sometimes called an abstract in APA, some preview, overview, roadmap, list of all your main conclusions. Call it what you want, but this expanded thesis paragraph will make your grades go up in all classes, and it really is what professors want to see. Okay, 2 or 3 other quick things and we're done. I am expecting you to know the difference between when to use italics in MLA, which is for very large things like newspapers, books, long reports, and when to use quotation marks in MLA, which is for short little articles in a newspaper or in a book like this one, short poems, short reports. So that's just a way of signaling to the reader in MLA format, this is a long publication and this is a shorter publication. You can look that up separately in the file box if you're confused about basic MLA. And I'm not looking for a works cited page on this one. That's a whole separate lecture. At the end, I am also expecting you to wrap things up, restating your main thesis, the intellectual world can be intimidating, and then maybe making a nice little extra point. Even after making friends with the classics, I still find time for playing crossword puzzles at the end. So you wrap things up at the end, in this case on page 5, notice, with an extraordinary ending. That's another thing that I wouldn't expect in the test. What I do expect in both tests and essays is that there's lots of quotes and examples in the middle section here. So the middle is the most like your test. Of course, you could use some of your test for your paper. I hope that's helped you understand the difference quickly between a 200-point essay and a 20-point test, how to set up your paper for the essay, and some examples, some quick examples on the difference between what a test looks like and what an essay looks like. And now I can't wait to give you that juicy 200 points.